Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Welcome to Mesa Morning Live. Good to have you back. You're a repeat offender here.
I'm glad to be back. The last time I was here, I got a pie, if you remember.
Oh, you did get a pie.
Yeah, Ken Bennett was very disappointed.
That's right.
He got the car lube.
Oh, he got a car lube and you got pie.
I got pie, yes.
Well,
so I'm glad to be back.
I think you won. Good to have you here. With all the work, all the effort, all the passion you've put into the light rail, you got to be pretty excited about August 22nd. Tell us what's going on.
Well, we're counting now 43 days. It's been a really very busy time. Right now we're in the testing phase. You know, we want to make sure the tracks line up. That's important. That we clear those overhead lines, that they work, and we're doing some real creative things with the testing. For example, tomorrow they're going to be doing weight testing, and Valley Transit constructors have donated 100 pallets of water, which is about 195,000 bottles of water, to simulate the weight of people in the cars. So those will be in the train cars tomorrow as they're testing the weights. And then Tuesday, they're going to be donating those to the United Food Bank. And so,
wow.
So it's Valley Transit constructors really have done a great job and very innovative in supporting the community this way. And it's been exciting. You know, guess what? This is a government project, but we are 7 months ahead of schedule and actually a little bit under budget.
What the? No. What the?
Well, I owe it all to the fact that I was chair of Valley Metro Rail this past year, and you know, we just accelerated things and value engineered stuff like that.
You said something that struck me as interesting. You said you hope the tracks line up. Do you start building at different things and try and meet them together, or does it?
Yes, we do.
The reason I say that, as I know you're a native of St. Louis, Missouri.
Yes, I am.
And I'm a fellow Missourian too. And when they built the arch,
it didn't join.
It didn't. The St. Louis Arch. They got up here and they went, oh, it's off. And they had to, I think, heat one side and freeze the other side to make it shift and get together.
They did before they put the cornerstone in.
Yeah. So yeah.
But thank goodness that company is not working on.
I was going to say.
Light rail.
That's awesome. Well, that's great. So 192,000 bottles of water?
Exactly. Yeah.
And how many people does that represent as far as weight?
Well, probably for each car can hold about 110 people. So. A lot of folks.
Yeah, I like that. We'll get the human calculator to figure that out for us. Well, that's great. So I'm sure there have been hurdles, there have been challenges with the light rail, but you can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, we've been really lucky because we have had the experience of doing the original 20-mile segment and learned a lot about working with businesses, what works, what doesn't work, how you schedule the timing of it. And so we had a very good team of companies that came together to do the construction. And we've been pretty lucky in terms of weather as well. And so it really has moved far ahead of anybody's expectations. But for all the business owners along light rail and property owners, I know they're very excited to see it open. But we've been fortunate. Valley Metro is also working on a Northwest extension in Phoenix as well that will open next spring. But overall, I think we have had a good experience with the first 20-mile segment, and so that's helped us along for both the Mesa and the Northwest extension.
So give us a brief history of the light rail. How did we get here? When did this whole thing start? And it's kind of fun to look back now that we can see the finish line.
Well, I'd say we've had rail advocates in Valley here for a very long time. For those of you old-timers, you might remember we had a ballot measure in the 1980s called Valtrans, and there were many people in Mesa that volunteered for that effort. It was a little bit more of a commuter rail system, but it failed at the ballot. And so the Valley communities, Valley business community kept working on the issues, and the late 1990s really came together to put a proposition on the ballot for regional transportation funding, which light rail is a part. We've had very good encouragement from the federal government, and so the planning for the original segment was back in the late 1990s, around 2000, 2001. And I know you will be surprised, but there were people in Mesa that didn't want light rail to come to Mesa. At the time, they said no one would ride it. It would be a white elephant. It wouldn't help the community. And even the council was split at that time, although since light rail opened, it's amazing how some of my former colleagues have been rewriting history, and they suddenly were supporters of light rail. It's magic the way that works, but it was not easy. There was a lot of discussion, but it was a great partnership between Phoenix and Tempe and Mesa that got the initial 1 mile segment into Mesa. And this extension, really planning for it and work for it, began back really in 2008. So if you're a light rail advocate, you have to be very patient, and because it's a long-term process. We're already underway in terms of design and property acquisition for taking the next segment to past Gilbert Road. I think the amazing thing is, ever since the initial segment opened, the Mesa station has been the busiest in the entire system. And the ridership has far exceeded what anyone has thought it would happen. And the economic development along the light rail line has been something that's been a very, very much of a boon to the economy, even during the downtime. So there were lots of construction jobs, a lot of work that has helped boost the economy. So it's been a success story in Mesa, and again, that's why we're so excited. Bringing the light rail, we're gonna have 4 new stations really in Mesa, and get people closer to our world-class arts center, museums, tourist attractions, shops that we have downtown. It just makes it easier to connect around the valley.
So where I'm going to display my ignorance here, which is very simple for me to do. Where's the starting and stopping points right now as it exists?
Right now, on the original segment, the start of the system is at Sycamore Station, which is right around at Dobson and Main, and the end of the station is 19th Avenue in Montebello, and so this Mesa segment will be 3.1 miles, taking it just past Mesa Drive, right by Pioneer Park, will be the new beginning of the line.
What kind of an economic investment has been made so far? I'm guessing thousands of dollars.
A multiplier effect, yeah. Millions and millions of dollars. But what's been very interesting is the return on the investment in terms of economic development along the line. It's been about 6 to 1, 7 to 1 in terms of money spent. And it really is encouraging businesses and housing to be in those transit corridors. And as you think about it, a lot of millennials don't choose to drive anymore, don't want to drive. A lot of baby boomers like me, for whatever reason in the future, will not be able to drive, but baby boomers tend to stay very active and continue to work and do things. And there's a very big demand for access to mass transit. And so there's an interesting popularity between those two segments are driving a lot of the economic development along light rail lines.
That's awesome. Well, boy, everybody likes to, on their commute to work, everybody likes to read the paper and text and stuff like that. It's a lot safer to do it in the light rail than it is in your car.
Very much so, you won't get a ticket.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, and one of the things I'm working on, but we ultimately would like to have free Wi-Fi on the rail cars. That's Valley Metro Rail has been doing a pilot project studying that. That's the biggest single demand that we have had from riders on the light rail. And so it's some places of the city, it's not easy to do that with tall buildings and things like that, but that's been one of the things that I've been a champion of, and we're going to get it before I leave office. We'll put it that way, right, Howard?
You know, it'd be another cool idea. Free Wi-Fi, genius. Maybe also a keyboard player that could play everybody on and off the light rail.
Exactly. Well, I'll tell you what, we can get there partially because on August 22nd, at each of the new stations in Mesa, we're going to have parties. And for that day only, you'll be able to get passes, free passes, actually to ride the entire light rail line for that day. But you can go to each of the Mesa stations. We'll have parties celebrating the artwork for each of the stations, the historic nature of each station, and we're gonna have a great time. We're gonna have a ribbon cutting. We're around 8:30 on August 22nd, and then the parties will run from 9 to noon. And so come get your free pass and check it out. We've got some of the best public art that's been on the system so far. Very distinctive pieces. A lot of them, you may not have seen them fully really at night. They're going to be very beautifully lit at night, and very much, I think, will become icons of the community. Now, the one across from Center in Maine, I'm there somewhere, but it looks, I call it the rocket ship, but it's silhouettes of individuals. And you could look for my fortunes on there. I haven't been able to find it myself, but I know I am there. But
don't be mean to yourself.
It's well, it's easy, but it's each of the artwork is unique and really fun to go see. And so I think people will have a good time on that Saturday.
Yeah, I was going to say, August 22nd is a Saturday. Is there a diminished ridership on a Saturday, or is it increased? Or does it depend on what's going on? Like if there's a Diamondbacks game, for example?
Yeah, if there are events going on, Valley Metro Rail is very nimble and flexible. We add cars for special events in downtown. We carried a huge number of riders during the Super Bowl because of the NFL experience downtown. Probably most of the people who went to that event took light rail to get to it. So we do, on weekends, if there are big events going on, we will anticipate that and add capacity.
That's awesome. You mentioned free passes on the 22nd. What does it normally cost to ride the light rail?
$2.50. Oh, I can read lips. $2.50.
$250.
Yeah, $2.50. But if you work for an employer like I do at the City of Mesa, the city participates in the traffic reduction program, so we have what they call a silver pass. And there's a lot of employers throughout the valley that have those for their employees, and I encourage companies to consider that, because again, it's a great way. You just tap your pass, it activates the card. You see that in many cities that have light rail around the country, but it's a really, it's an inexpensive way to you'll be able to now take 23 miles around the valley to all the attractions.
So is that a day, $2.50 for a day pass, or?
One way.
One way, okay, cool. That's still cheaper than, look at the price of gasoline. Yeah, I gotta be honest, I have not ridden the light rail. I'm not proud of that. I just haven't because I don't live in this part of the valley, and I've heard you have to wear pants.
Well, during the week.
During the week,
yeah.
Awesome. The 22nd is gonna be a blast.
Yeah. When they have those pub crawls, though, anything goes.
Well, that's great. So you mentioned going all the way out to Gilbert Road on the extension. What's the time frame for that? Is there any?
It will be actually about 2 years from now, and that's going to be a really important event, because if you think about it, that really opens up light rail to the northeast part of the city with the access from the 202, and actually also into the south as well. And all the studies that we've done really show there'll be actually a huge increase in ridership once we take it to Gilbert Road. So there'll be a fairly large park and ride at that facility as well. Now, where it goes beyond there is going to require a lot of talk, a lot of discussion. Some people would like to see it extend all the way out on Main Street to like Ellsworth, and then maybe go south to Gateway Airport, because the new terminal at Gateway will be on the east side of the current grounds. But what you probably will see in the interim, many cities will, before they do the light rail, they wait for the density to build up, and they put in guideways for bus service, like in your median, and have your expanded bus service that takes the same space as light rail, but later it's much easier to add rail as your density grows for population. So I think you'll see some efforts like that. I know the city would like to explore streetcar projects, connecting up hopefully with Tempe, looking at some other areas like down Dobson and Southern might be a good area to study for a future streetcar and possibly a future spur for rail. So lots of exciting things can happen once we get past Gilbert Road.
That's awesome. We've got a couple of more questions here. This is from Clyde. What's the cost for students? Is there a break for a student, price-wise? $1.
And what's very exciting, our colleges downtown are really anticipating that as an aid to them. Upper Iowa University, in fact, has just moved its campus to be on Main Street, to be on the light rail line itself. They're going to be on the campus right next to the East Valley Institute of Technology. But Benedictine and Wilkes, I know, are looking for an increase in student enrollment because of the availability of light rail.
That's great. Our sister cities students, do you have light rails back where you are?
Burnaby.
Anybody? Oh, there we go. From Canada? Yeah.
Burnaby actually has a very great system. When we were first looking at light rail, Mesa Sister Cities made several trips up to the Vancouver area and stayed in Burnaby and took their light rail system, looked at the development around the stations there. And that actually, I will give credit to the Sister City program because in the late 1990s, early 2000s, I think those trips to Burnaby persuaded some of our reluctant council members to change their mind and support light rail. So thank you.
That's awesome. All right, here, got another question. We know the mayor is working on downtown development with new restaurants and such. Is there talk about new businesses coming in because of the light rail now?
Yes. As the mayor likes to say, the phone is actually kind of ringing off the hook because we do have areas, for example, where Brown & Brown Chevrolet is, there's a lot of interest in that site for new development. Some of the existing buildings along Main Street have been up for sale. And so there's some significant interest there. We're also getting interest from developers who are interested in putting in housing in downtown, more mid-rise, high-rise housing or loft-type housing. So that we are getting those calls, which is a nice thing.
Well, our audience has great questions. Here's one I never would have thought of. This is from Denise. Are pets allowed?
Service animals are allowed on.
Because I have a service burro.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay. It's got the, there you go. It's got the orange vest and everything. But a service dog, yeah, you can't deny them, yeah.
Right, right.
My burro can just run along the side.
That's right, that's right. Well, and instead of a burro, if you have a bike, you can bring your bike and you can put that on the light rail.
Look at me, does it look like I ride a bike? Come on.
Sure you do. Well, guess what? Mesa PD is instituting a bike unit that is going to be patrolling the area from Sycamore to Mesa Drive. They're going to be getting on and off the cars, and they're going to be highly visible. And so I know the rest of the valley is looking at how that works because when you narrow the streets down, the bike units can really get back and forth very easy. But we're going to have a very good safety presence using the bike unit.
Oh, that's great. All right, a couple other questions here. Clyde wants to know, is light rail timed with traffic lights?
Yes, it flows with the traffic. And no, you should not turn left in front of a train. Probably 99% of the accidents that have occurred since light rail opened have been stupid drivers who have turned left in front of a train. And that's like, hello, the train is really big and it's going the same speed you are. And for some reason they think, oh, the train will stop when I make a turn in front of it. You know the laws of physics and math. It takes a lot longer for that train to stop than a car to stop.
We have a lot of body shop members of the chamber that should open
You'll
up.
see a spike in business.
That's
yes.
awesome. Here we go. Here's kudos to Valley Metro. They were awesome in keeping businesses informed of road closures, et cetera. They did a great job in informing the public of business entries. So, boy, that's a lot of work goes into that.
It's been really remarkable. We've had a lot of experience, learned from other communities, but the Central Mesa extension, I think, has gone particularly smoothly because people like my friend Howard in the audience and the other folks have done a great job reaching out to the neighborhoods and the businesses, and it's taken a lot of load off of council members, so they're not calling me to complain, which is a good thing. They're only calling me now because of the air conditioning on the buses sometimes. So.
Well, that's a good question. Is it nice and cool in there?
Yes. Yeah. No, the trains were extensively tested. The cars. That's why we helped choose the cars we did because of their ability to stay cool in the Arizona sun.
Here's a question. Are you able to walk across the tracks?
You should not do that. That's a very bad thing. I mean, it's not like a subway. The electricity comes from overhead, but you will get ticketed by Mesa Police for jaywalking if you do that. So please don't do that.
Okay, note to self, do not do that.
Do not do that. Very bad.
Since you're here, talk about the Flow Rider event coming up in your district.
Oh, this is, 1 week before we have the grand opening of Light Rail, where you're going to have a special competition. It's a Vice Mayor's Invitational between Vice Mayor Corey Woods and myself at the Rhodes Aquatic Center. And we're going to have surfing competition between teams from Tempe and Mesa. Actually, our police and fire will form one team for Mesa. Tempe Police and Fire will form one team for Tempe. Members of the chambers, both chambers, will be the judges for the event. And that'll be from 8 to 10 on August 15th. And we're hoping to raise some money there for the 100 Club. And if you know, the 100 Club helps assist families of firefighters and police officers who have been injured or killed in the line of duty. Another chamber member, Gary Levine, is going to be bringing some goodies to eat at the event, and Mesa firefighters will be cooking breakfast. So it's a free event, but we're hoping to bring your checkbook for the 100 Club. And I do have a bet with Vice Mayor Woods that the loser has to buy the winner a lunch in the winner's city. And we have so many great Mesa Chamber members, it's going to be hard to pick which restaurant I'm going to get that lunch at, but, you know.
So are you, I'm going to make sure I get this right, are you going to be doing the Flow Rider thing yourself?
No, that would be a tragedy, or actually a comedy tragedy.
Because I would make plans to be there.
Yeah. Well, actually, the only time I've done that, and Glenn from Channel 11 will verify that they actually photoshopped me in a business suit surfing on the Flow Rider for a commercial a couple years ago, but that's the extent of my surfing experience.
I'm not sure that we're legally allowed to show that.
That's our
Due to FCC guidelines.
Yeah.
Well, that is awesome.
Well, the other night, and we will have the Flow Rider available for people to free to surf and try out on their own on the 15th as well. If you've never done it, you can do it boogie board style or stand-up style. Every year we have a competition between Mesa Fire and Police. We did that in May, and Sally was one of the judges for the event, and that's where we got the idea at that time to raise some money for the community and have a little friendly challenge. But this time having Mesa Fire and Police work together on a team against Tempe.
That's awesome. Well, so do you ride the light rail yourself?
I do to sporting events because my office actually is down at Baseline at Stapley, so light rail doesn't get there yet, darn. But
You still have a car?
I still have a car.
Okay.
But I take it to baseball games downtown and to football or basketball games at ASU. That way I don't have to deal with parking. That's
awesome. Well, the reason I ask, I'm glad to know you still have a car because our fine sponsors, Cobblestone Auto Spas, since you are our featured guest this month, they would like to give you, I would like to keep it, but they would like for me to give this to you. It's a $100 detailed gift card to take this into any Cobblestone and let them spiff your car up.
Fantastic. You see my car, you know it needs it.
Yeah, I've been meaning to talk to you about that. Get that in there. It expires at noon today. Get it in there. Well, we thank you so much for keeping us informed of what's going on with the light rail and for, 7 months early and under budget.
Yes.
We're gonna hold you to that every time. So,
all right.
How about a big round of applause, Mr. Dennis Kavanaugh. Thank you, sir. Thanks for coming in.